All right, so I'm gonna do a playthrough here, a solo playthrough of Mythic Battles here, and this is really a test game. The point here is more for playtesting than anything else. I'm not really trying to like show off the system to people who haven't played or anything like that. What I'm going to be playing here is I'm playing against the version 3, which is the current iteration of the still in progress Nemesis Solo rules for Mythic Battles. And this is only the third time I've played. I just kind of wanted to get some of this on camera for this last playthrough in hopes that it might be useful as a playtesting feedback for the designers here and everybody else involved in the project. Um, so real quick, just the setup that I have here, I want to explain that real quick. The difficulty I picked here, I'm fighting against Hades, and I'm going to go all the way on the most advanced or the most difficult army for Hades. So we've got Hades, Echidna, Heracles, Aegisthus, the Toxotai. The Toxotai archers are going to be the ones that get recalled, and then finally the Infernal Hounds, who will not get recalled. You can see we're playing on the kind of ancient ruins map over here. I'm just kind of zooming out a little bit. Sorry for the all over the place camera work. But I've just got the board initially set up, and I've got everybody recruited for the Nemesis player right here. The deck's already been built and really well shuffled. This particular army that I'm playing against is going to start with 7 Art of War cards in the deck. So that's a lot of potential double activations for the Nemesis player. I haven't deployed anything yet on the table. That's all just kind of terrain that's laid down. The layout that I picked, just for ease of use for me, is I'm going to be deploying down here on the bottom half, and we'll have the Nemesis player up there. So let's take a quick look at the army that I have here, and this one, this was really kind of put together somewhat randomly. I had no strategy or anything in mind when I made this army. Basically, I wanted to avoid trying to like game or exploit the AI by taking specific units. I do think there's specific army builds, which maybe I'll talk about at the end of this playthrough, that are going to be almost impossible for the Nemesis to beat, specific combos. So instead, what I did is I just grabbed the latest draft pool that Monolith has released for April, and just kind of picked a bunch of units out of that I have either really never played with before or haven't played with very much before. So I'll go through my list real quick, and it's kind of suboptimal. It's kind of all over the place in the strategy, but I don't think that's going to matter. So my deity is Athena. We'll go through. I'm not going to go into too much detail on what the abilities of all the units are, because again, this video really isn't intended for people who don't play the game or anything like that. It's not like a showing off the game. It's more for playtesting feedback. So we've got Athena. I've got 2 heroes here. We've got Medea over here, who's like the healer. We've got Cecrops down here, who kind of has some mid-range kind of damage abilities and some good troop interaction. For monsters, I ended up with Arachne over here. And she has that web ability, which can be pretty nice and useful. We'll see if that ends up coming into play. I don't really end up needing it that often. We have, I don't really know the correct pronunciation, but I've been saying Steno the Gorgon instead of Steno the Gorgon. Big abilities there are just Flight and Petrify. Petrify can be pretty devastating to troop units, obviously. And then finally the Griffin over here, with flying and block and really nice initiative and kind of being able to retaliate using initiative for free, which is the cool thing with the Griffin. For troops, of course, we have the giant spiders, which come for free whenever you recruit Arachne. The centaurs were in my list. I picked those as guards for Athena. And then I was playing with the Infernal Hounds in my previous game, but this particular Hades Nemesis army calls for the Infernal Hounds, so I had to lose them. So I'm going to just randomly just end up with a troop unit. So let's just pick that real quick. I've got my like stack of different troop units here. I'm just going to shuffle this up because I don't think it's going to make a difference, and we'll just randomly pick a troop unit. All right, so I'm just going to shuffle up my set of troop cards right here and just kind of draw randomly from the bottom, and whatever we end up with is whatever we end up with. All right, so we've got, all right, the Satyr Children, we can't use that because that's specific to Dionysus. Same thing for Hounds of Artemis, can't use that. Argonauts, I think we can use the Argonauts. I don't think they are only recruitable. Yeah, they're not only recruitable if you have a specific unit. So, all right, we're gonna end up with the Argonauts. I've actually never used these guys before. They have guard and climb. And okay, they seem pretty basic. So I'm gonna go grab the Argonauts. Okay, so we've got our initial, I went ahead and did the initial troop deployment. So for my side, down here, I've got the Argonauts down here. I'm gonna try and, I know since I don't have my models painted yet that it's gonna be kind of difficult to tell what's what on camera. It's just gonna look like a sea of gray. So I'm gonna try and just kind of point out what units are what on the board so that you can follow along here. But I've got my my Argonauts over here, the Centaurs over here. The idea here is the Centaurs, this is where I'm gonna wanna bring Athena in. This is where I'm gonna wanna bring in Medea in, since she's kind of squishy and they can kind of guard for her. And then over here in the forested area is where I put the spiders. Figure Arachne can kind of come up here and come up this side. Then for the troop deployments of the Nemesis, of course, those are already set. So the Nemesis is going to deploy the Toxotai archers here in the center. This is also where Hades is going to come in once Hades is deployed. And then over here in the right corner, we've got the Infernal Hounds over here in this forested area, which should actually work well for the Nemesis because the Infernal Hounds are pretty quick, and having them in kind of the furthest spot, they're going to be able to take care of that movement in order to get what, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 down here into these areas where there's some divine stones. They'll be able to kind of sweep into that area of the board really quick. So that'll be pretty easy. Before we get going here, I just want to, I wanted to point out that part of the reason that I wanted to do this is because this is only my third time playing using the Nemesis system, and my first 2 games were both successes. I won both of my first games, and I decided for this third one I was going to go from kind of the normal difficulty up to the hardest difficulty. Also, there's kind of a little bit of contention, not contention, but there's a little bit of kind of thought process going on right now as far as how the Nemesis should handle the Omphalos cards over here when the Nemesis earns those. The question is whether or not the Nemesis, when they draw one of those cards and they benefit from healing, should the Nemesis then kind of permanently remove the Omphalos cards from their deck just like the player, or should they go back into the Nemesis discard pile where they could potentially keep healing and getting them back? I've been playing with the more difficult mode of the Omphalos continuing to cycle through the Nemesis deck. I don't think it really is going to matter that much. So I'm suspecting that I'm gonna win. I think that I'm gonna win this match. I'm kind of in the mode of thinking that I can beat the AI every time and that it's fairly exploitable. That's that's part of the reason of kind of doing the playtest feedback, as I'm kind of wondering that if the AI is pretty easy to exploit here. So anyway, this is the first time I've played on one of the harder difficulty armies. We'll see how this goes. I think I have a pretty like suboptimal army myself. I'm pretty confident I'm going to win, but we'll see. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've got this completely backwards, and the higher difficulty armies are really going to make a big difference. So I thought it'd be fun to record that anyway. So anyway, I think everything's set up. All the terrain is out. You can see all the god candy is out and spread around. And I've already drawn my opening set of Art of War cards. You can see I'm starting with 4. That's because I only spent 17 of my 18 recruitment points on this army. So I had 1 left over. I just figured that with that 1 extra unit, I didn't want to clog my deck up more. It was going to be more important to be able to cycle through my deck. So I went for the extra Art of War card. But everything else is ready to go, and we'll go ahead and start. So I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing my opening hand of 3 cards. I've already kind of shuffled everything up, so let's see what we get. We've got Arachne over here. We've got Steno the Gorgon, and we've got Cecrops. Cool. All right, so thinking about strategy for this and how I'm going to plan to take down the AI, I'm going to go for a gem strategy. Basically, I'm going to be completely ignoring combat, I think, for the most part. I'm going to just let the Nemesis beat on me as much as it wants. That's fine. I'm just going to absorb 4 gems for the win. The reason being is just because between this army matchup, Hades is pretty tough, obviously. He's got a pretty higher than usual defense of a 9, and of course Hades can heal from every time a unit gets eliminated. And then of course the entire Nemesis army is going to heal every time they earn and then play one of those Omphalos cards. I found that it's pretty impossible to stop, I suspect, I've only played 2 games, but I suspect that it's pretty unlikely that you'll be able to stop the Nemesis from destroying at least a couple of gems on the board. So it's just bound to happen. So you kind of have to plan for the fact that, you know, they're going to be able to heal up their army a little bit. However, I don't think that's going to be very consequential because I'm not going to bother trying to eliminate the opposing army. I'm just going to try and manipulate the AI well enough to where we can go through all 4, absorb all 4 gems before we're eliminated, and see how it goes. All right, so for my first activation here, just to kind of explain strategically what I'm thinking, I don't think it's really going to matter that much which one of these I pick, because I don't have any of the other troop cards yet that are really going to be really consequential to moving up the board first. So I'm just going to go ahead and deploy Arachne first. Her spiders are already on the board, and she could do troop recalls with those. So I could go ahead and just start working on getting her up the board. The other thing that's really useful about Arachne is that she has Gem Collector. So that'll be, you know, an additional useful talent for grabbing those gems. So let's go ahead and deploy Arachne. That'll be my first card. Let's grab her model down here. One of these days I'll get these guys painted. And let's just put her in the same kind of forest area over here with the with her spiders. And then later when we activate her again, you know, we can move her up. She can start using her gem collector to grab things and bring them back, and have the spiders with her. She can recall the spiders if need be, so that should be fine. And of course, I just realized I did forget to draw my card opening for the turn because I was overly thinking about what I was going to do. So I would have drawn a card at the beginning of the turn. Maybe that would have made a difference. Okay, so it's just another Gorgon, Streno the Gorgon card. Would that have made a difference knowing that I could activate Streno again on the next turn? She does have flying. I could kind of get her on the board and then get up there to, you know what, I think that will. Now that I've seen like my first opening draw, I think I'm just going to go ahead and pull back Arachne, and we'll deploy Streno instead, since I'll be able to activate her back to back. We want to get up there quick, basically. We want to be aggressive out there grabbing gems. So instead of doing Arachne for the first one, we're going to do Steno. I don't know why I'm saying Streno. I have no idea what the lore is for this monster. And let's see, where to put her. Really, she's just going to go out and grab a gem. She's got a movement. What is her movement? Her movement's a 2. So like we could go up out on the corner. If we put her here, she's already guarded, and she's basically in range on her next activation of going out and grabbing one of these farther gems and claiming it and possibly being able to bring it back. So we'll try and be aggressive and do that with her. All right, so I'm not going to take a second activation for my first turn here. One kind of little strategy to keep in mind, I guess, for this is I found that when you're going for a gem win, since your deity only has 4 activation cards and you need 1 activation to deploy them, that means that even if you play at maximum like optimization for all of your actions, you're going to have to cycle through your deck at least once, because it's going to take at least a total of 5 activations of your deity in order to win the game. So that means it's going to be important, if we're going to play aggressively, to go through our deck pretty quick, so that we can cycle through a second time. So instead of taking a lot of second activations, if I really don't need to, sometimes it's going to be useful. But I'm going to go ahead and just do a maneuver before the end of my turn, and I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 more cards, just so that we're going through the deck pretty well. So I've got 2 more Art of War cards. All right, and that'll be the end of my turn after that maneuver. Whoops, I'll clean that up in a minute. Okay, so let's do the first Nemesis turn. Let's see what we got. We're going to do Aegisthus, another character I don't know anything about. All right, so Aegisthus, I order these so I remember where they are. He's number 4. So let me go find the number 4 deployment zone over here. Actually, I should have just left this up. And this is Olympus in Ruins. So number 4 is going to be over here on that right side. All right, so let's grab our guy here, deploy him over there, and that's the end of the Nemesis turn. All right, so back to me. Let's go ahead and draw our card at the beginning of the turn, and we've got Athena. Now, when it comes to the deity going for a gem win, it makes the most sense to keep your deity off the board for a little while until it makes sense to bring them in, just because Athena will be protected. There's no sense bringing her in if all I'm going to do is bring her in and then just have her continuously absorb things. So we're not going to bother activating her. So who do we want to bring in instead? I think now we'll go ahead and do our Steno the Gorgon activation again. That way Steno can go out and start claiming some of those gems and bringing them back, hopefully. So go ahead and do an activation. Steno has flying and a movement of 2, so Steno can take a run action in order to move 3. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. So we're just going to grab this. This one's slightly further away, and it's one of the 2 in range of the Toxotai. So when they come in to try to like destroy some of these gems, this will be available. She took a complex action, so she can't actually claim that yet. We'll try to activate her again and claim it and bring her back. So That'll be my turn. I think since I have so many Art of War cards, again, I'm going to do another maneuver just to draw 2 cards. So we've got the giant spiders, and we've got another arachne card. Okay, I'm going to end my turn there and pass it back to the Nemesis. All right, so let's do our Nemesis draw here. And we've got a Hades activation. All right, well, I already know where Hades comes in, so let's grab Hades. He's going to come in right here in the center with the Toxotai archers over here. And that's it for the Nemesis. Okay, so it's back to me. Let's go ahead and draw our opening card. And we've got Medea. Okay. I don't need to bring her in immediately. She's got a great healing ability. It'll be great to have her on the board by the time we bring Athena in and we start getting beat on by the Nemesis, because the Nemesis is going to come after us and just start attacking us relentlessly. So but we'll worry about her later. We're not going to bother with that now. So it would be kind of cool to go ahead and activate Steno, the Gorgon over here, and go grab an activation card for her and bring her back. But we got to keep tempo in mind here. Remember, even if one of these 2 activates and then comes after her, they're not gonna one-shot her or anything like that. So we're still gonna have time if she takes some damage, if we need to get her out of there. So let's just work on board development here. It doesn't really matter. We can go with any of these. I'm going to go ahead though and go with Arachne. Let's get her deployed. And I'm thinking, yeah, let's get her deployed. I'm thinking I might actually not put her in the spot with the spiders. I think I might put her in over here. Where I plan to bring Athena out, just because she'll be able to get up here in this position, and then actually from here, since she has Gem Collector, she'll be able to claim any of these and just kind of swipe them out from the Nemesis easily. So we'll just go with that. And once again, we're doing well. We're doing well. I really should be doing my draw at the beginning of my turn, just in case I don't want to activate them. But it really doesn't matter that much early in the game. So I'll do another maneuver just to draw 2 cards. Again, we just want to make sure that we cycle through our deck somewhat briskly. All right, so we've got a Griffin and another Art of War card. And again, I'm not going to do a second activation. I'm just going to end it there and pass it back to the Nemesis. All right, Nemesis, let's see what you got here. We've got another Hades. All right, so Hades is already on the board. Now, I don't really need to look at the targeting list for the Nemesis AI right now. Actually, maybe I do, because he actually does have somebody that he can attack. So let's just go through this really precisely, make sure I'm not getting any other rules wrong. But the way I understand it, Hades is going to move. He should have a movement of 2. Yes, he does. So Hades is going to move 1 and then 2 into this space with Arachne and then attack her. But let's go ahead and look through the targeting list here to make sure. Right, so to determine if they can attack, yes, Hades is within range of being able to attack. He does have an area attack, but he can't attack multiple targets if you were to use it. So he's not going to use the area attack. So next thing in the list is a melee or ranged attack. Well, Hades, of course, he has both a melee and ranged attack available. You can see he has a range of 1 down here, and of course he has melee. The way I understand it, and I've clarified this with the designer, is that he's going to prefer to use a melee attack, because if we were to look at his talents, one of his talents is Torment, and that Torment is going to lower the defense of other units in his area when he's attacking. So that's going to make him prefer to walk into the space and use melee rather than attacking from a distance. So he decides to do that rather than go sit on any of the gems. So his first action then is going to be to walk 2. So that's going to be 1 into the ruins. The ruins don't like block movement. You don't have to stop for entering the ruins or anything like that. And then he's going to walk into here with the Gorgon, right? And then he's going to go ahead and attack her. So that's going to be 7 dice and the Torment. Now, if we were to look up his special rules for his abilities, again, Inferno is an area attack, which he's not going to use because he doesn't have, well, sorry about the camera there. He doesn't have the chance to or opportunity to attack multiple units. And then Soul Calling right here, he's only going to benefit that when units actually die. So he's going to get 7 dice. And Streno over here, let's see what she's got. She's got Petrify, Blood of the Gorgon. Okay, that's going to trigger if she dies. She has Torment, Initiative, and Sneak Attack. All right, so she could use Initiative, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I could use an Art of War to go attack first. But like I said, doing that kind of stuff is just not really going to be a smart use of resources for us. So her defense, she's just going to get hit by Hades. Her defense is a 7, but of course that's going to go down to a 6 due to the Torment ability of Hades. So let's grab 7 dice. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And let's see what Hades can do here. Now, since her defense is a 6, that's going to change the way that Hades wants to, or the Nemesis wants to allocate their dice to do hits. So let's get rid of the blanks. And Nemesis basically wants to try and get as many guaranteed 6s as possible. And if there's anything left over for a second assault, that's what Nemesis will do. So basically this 4 will become a 5, and we'll get rid of this 1. This 4 will become a 5. We'll get rid of this 1. And then this 5 will become a 6. This 5 will become a 6. So that's just 2 guaranteed hits. So that's going to be 2 wounds over here on Streno the Gorgon, down here to 5 wounds. Okay. And that is the Nemesis activation for Hades right there. All right, so it's back to us. Let's go ahead and draw for the turn here. Let's see what we get. We've got another Griffin card. Griffin is a fantastic unit against the Nemesis AI. I'll talk about why that later. I didn't realize that when I picked the Griffin. I just kind of realized that when I was playing my first game, I was like, okay, if you want to beat the Nemesis by a combat victory, then Griffin is a really great unit for that. But okay, let's see what we want to do. Since she's already starting to get beat on, I kind of want to get her out there. The thing is that I'm still not overly alarmed because Hades has now activated twice. He's a little bit less likely to become activated again. But regardless, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do once again my maneuver at the beginning of my turn and draw 2 cards. So let's do that. And then just in case, all right, so there's a Medea, and what else do we get here? We get an Arachne. Okay. Yeah, I'm not overly concerned yet. She can take another hit from Hades, no problem, before it becomes more dire to get her out of there. So let's go with Arachne. So let's activate Arachne. She's already on the board, so we're going to activate her, and we're just going to take a simple action to move her 1. I was kind of going to move her into here because she benefits from defense from there. I kind of feel like that's the smarter thing. Yeah, I'm gonna chicken out. I think I'm gonna play it just slightly smarter And I'm gonna move her back into the forest over here, just because she benefits from that. Although she's only gonna benefit from ranged attacks, I think, in the forest, right? It's been a while. Um, yeah, extra defense against ranged attacks. I think it's still worth it because, I mean, we've got the Toxotai out there, and once they start moving up, and she's actually using her gem collector. Yeah, final decision. That's what I'm going to go with. It's not like that's going to be a game-breaking thing. All right, so that's her first action. Her second action is just going to be to use her gem collector and claim this stone over here. So she'll pick that one up. And our first stone claimed. I think that is all I'm going to do on my turn, so let's go back to the Nemesis. All right, are we going to get a third Hades in a row? And nope, we're going to get Echidna in play. So I think Echidna is going to be the one that is going to be most dangerous to us besides Hades. But I need to bring back up over here where she comes into play. It looks like she is number 2 in the list. So that's Minos Labyrinth. Olympus and Chain. So number 2 is going to be, okay, over here on this side. All right, so Echidna is going to come over here, and that's her deployment. And there we go. Let's take a look at her real quick. I need to go look at her special rules as well. So we've got really high defense. I know she has this Mother of Monsters, which would be really annoying if we were going to bother fighting her, but we're not. Basically, she ignores the first 2 wounds inflicted by every monster attack. We don't really care about that. She has these poison markers, though. If they inflict at least 1 wound during an attack, you become poisoned, and when a unit with poison is activated, it suffers a wound, and then they have to discard an Art of War to get rid of it. So that will potentially be annoying. The other really big thing is block, and block is a really key ability in this. All of the units that the Nemesis has with block, that's going to be really good for the Nemesis. Still, I think we're going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be a problem. So, all right, well, that's the Nemesis turn. It's back to us now. All right, so let's draw our card for the turn. And we've got another Medea card. So let's just put that in here. You can see my hand size is getting pretty big now, because we're just trying to cycle through the deck and draw up a lot. So that once we've got enough gems in range, we can really quickly just slam through all that with our divinity, and it should be pretty easy to win. But with all that said, let's see. We could have Arachna come back. I'm not too worried about that right now. We could get another unit on the board. I think the unit I most want on the board at this point is the Griffin. Since the Griffin has great movement and it has flying, again, the Griffin can go out there and grab one of those gems and then bring it back. So let's do that. We're gonna play a Griffin activation, and the Griffin's gonna deploy. Let's have the Griffin deploy, I guess, right here. Yeah, let's do right here. We can go right or we can go left. That'll be plenty within range. Do I want to do another card draw maneuver? It is really nice to have at least 1 or 2 Art of War cards if I really need to like get out of a jam. But we've got 3, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. I should count up and see how many I have left. But I'm going to go ahead and use it and do another draw 2. So we've got a Cecrops, and we've got another Art of War. Okay. All right, that's my turn. We're going to kick it back over to the Nemesis. All right, Nemesis turn. Let's see what it's going to do. And we've got Heracles. All right, he's the last one to come on the board. And so that's going to be number 2. That's going to be over here in that same big area over there. Actually, no, he's number 3, not number 2. So he's going to come in over here in that forest area. So let's grab his model and set him out over here in the forest. All right, so the Nemesis is completely deployed on the board now. And over the next couple of turns, it's definitely going to start becoming a lot more aggressive now and hitting us. So we'll have to keep that in mind. Okay, so it's back to us. I'm going to go ahead and draw our card, and we get another Arachne card. Again, I've got 3 Art of War cards, so I'm going to do another maneuver to draw 2. So we're going to get a giant spiders, sure, and we're going to get another Art of War card. And I'll put that over here. All right. I think we'll go ahead and go with the Griffin again to get out there and grab another gem. So let's just do that. I think we have another Griffin. Yeah, we do have another Griffin, and we'll play that. The Griffin's down here. The question then is, which gem do I want to grab? I think I'll go ahead and grab this one because, yeah, let's do that. The Griffin can fly. It has I think it has a base movement of 3, yeah. And it has block, so that's great. Yeah, let's just go ahead and have the Griffin move 1 and then 2 over here. So that's just a simple action, and then another simple action to claim. And that'll be it for the Griffin. All right, that's going to end our turn, and we'll go back to the Nemesis. All right, let's see what we get here. Let's get okay, Aegisthus. All right, so where is Aegisthus? Over here. All right, so the question is, can Aegisthus attack anybody? And it looks like Aegisthus, does he have any range? He has no range. He's got a movement of 2. He's got Assassin, ignore effects of talents and powers that apply negative modifiers. Okay, and he's got this poison dagger. Attacks a hero within range. All right, so he has to get into melee, and he's got a movement of 2. He does not have anybody within range of 2 that he can go attack, so no. So that means that according to the AI, if the unit being activated just can't get to anything in order to make an attack, then it's just going to go towards the nearest God candy on the board and hang out there. It looks like, let's see, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2 would bring it over here into this spot. So he can go ahead and move 1 to here and another 1 into here. So he's hanging out in here, and if he gets activated again, he's gonna destroy that stone. Okay, so it's back to us. Let's draw our card, and we've got the Argonauts. All right, and once again, I'm sitting on 3 Art of War cards, so we're going to spend 1 in order to draw another 2. We get another Athena card. That's our second, and we get another Argonauts card. Okay. So let's look at the board situation a little bit. We haven't drawn any of the 7 Art of War cards from the AI, so we're pretty likely to draw one next turn. I think it's starting to get pretty likely that this next turn from the Nemesis is going to be a double activation. And I think that means that it's really likely that Strenna is going to get activated again or attacked, or Aegisthus is going to get activated again, especially because if we think about it and we look at Aegisthus, unlike most units, he actually has 5 activation cards in the deck. So there's still 3 more in there. He's activated twice, so we've got a pretty good chance that they're going to get activated. So basically, here's where the AI manipulation comes into place. We can stop the AI from destroying gems and things like that just by walking in there and claiming. because that will force the AI to attack the unit instead. So right now, the only available unit that we can get in there and claim with is going to be Argonauts. That's fine. We can go ahead and do that. We've got an Argonaut unit. So let's play the Argonaut, and they're gonna go ahead and move up here, and they're not gonna attack him. Again, that's a waste of time for us. They're just gonna claim this because I expect the chances are pretty high that that Nemesis is gonna try to destroy that gem otherwise. So now we have another target. And this is a good as time as any to kind of point out that since we know the AI's kind of like tree of decisions, we know exactly how it's going to make its decisions. It doesn't matter the fact that we don't know which unit is going to activate, because no matter which unit activates, we can pre-evaluate what that unit's going to do if it does, right? So we know that, you know, if Aegisthus were to activate, it would have destroyed the gems. We know that if Hades were to activate, he's going to go after the unit he was already with. We know that, actually, at this point, he's just going to make an area attack over there, etc. We know that if, you know, Heracles is going to activate, you know, back here, we know what Heracles is going to do. So basically, all we need to do, it doesn't matter how powerful our army is and what kind of units we have. You know, like the fact that I have Gem Collector is on one of my units, it's useful, but I mean, I'm still going to win regardless of whether or not I have it, because all you really need to be able to do is just kind of spread out the damage, right? If we just spread out the damage and you know, and keep our deity off the board until it's time to bring them in and win, then we're going to win, right? There's just, the AI is not going to be able to stop us. So, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, that was a little bit of an aside. That was my turn. We moved the Argonauts up and we did a claim action. And I'm going to stop there. So let's go see what the Nemesis does. All right, so here's the Nemesis. We're going to draw our card, and yep, okay, we called it. It's Aegisthus. All right. I'm surprised that that was not an Art of War card, actually. So there must be a really dense, like, pocket of Art of War. I promise I really shuffled that deck well before playing, but that's how randomness works, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and just evaluate the AI again. I think it's pretty obvious that Aegisthus is going to just make a melee attack over there because he has no ranged attacks and no area attacks. But let's, you know, for the sake of it, real quick, let's make sure I'm doing it right, because who knows, maybe I'm misinterpreting the AI here, right? So to determine if they can possibly attack any targets, they can attack multiple targets. So since he has a movement of 2, he could attack the Argonauts. He could attack the Griffin because he can get over there. He can get 1, 2. He could attack the guards, which he's not going to do because they're not carrying a divine stone. He could attack Arachne, and he could not attack Steno, the Gorgon, because if he moved in here, he'd have to stop. So let's see what the next thing is. Yeah, so he's going to go in for a melee attack. So we look at the targeting priority list. So we want to go after a divinity. Nope, no divinity on the board. So hero or monster with the lowest defense who is carrying an Omphalos. Okay, so he's actually not going to attack them. He wants to go after a hero or monster with the lowest defense that is carrying an Omphalos. So that's 2 options. So that's either going to be the Griffin or Arachne down here. So the Griffin's defense is a 7, and Arachne's defense is a 7. Okay, so now that brings us to tiebreakers and how to handle decisions we want to look for basically advantages in their talents, right? So let's take a look and evaluate that really quick. Let's look again at what they have here. So he has mobility, which is not going to narrow anything down for him, and climb. None of those units are in a climbable space, and he can't make ranged attacks from an elevated position, so that doesn't matter. And then sneak attack. I actually forget what sneak attack is. I think it's just if there's another unit in your area. Yeah, the unit gains +1 offense if an allied unit. So is there an allied unit in any of these areas? Actually, no, not in the ones that are available. There is over here in Steno with Hades, but not for the 2 that are available. So that doesn't really narrow anything down. Ignore the effects of talents and powers that apply negative modifiers related to walk, run, and attack actions. Ignore also the ones which prevent those actions or which oblige Aegis to change its target. It could use Poison Dagger, attacks a hero within range, and gains a +3 offense bonus for this attack. Let's look up Poison Dagger and see if that changes how the Nemesis wants to use that. So hero powers, Aegis, it says Nemesis, always use Poison Dagger if the target is a hero. Okay, that's not going to narrow down the target. Both of those are monsters. So basically, I think we've reached an impasse. It's going to be either the Griffin or Arachne, but we get to decide whatever is in our favor. So I'm going to go ahead and have him attack the Griffin. That's going to be in our favor. The Griffin has block, and the Griffin is going to get a free attack on him before he does it. So let's have him choose the Griffin. So he's going to move in here. I'll take these other dice off the board that we're marking this. So he's going to go after that and attack the Griffin. Now the Griffin has both initiative, meaning he can retaliate and attack first, and also Swift Talon. The Griffin may retaliate without discarding an activation card. So I just picked the Griffin when I initially recruited these because I hadn't really played with the Griffin very much. And when I saw that in my first Nemesis game, I really quickly realized that the Griffin's kind of broken because the Nemesis is never going to take that into account. That basically any unit that goes to attack the Griffin is going to get hit first for free. So I can basically manipulate the Nemesis into, just simply by putting a gem on it, I can manipulate other units to go and attack the Griffin, and then not have to spend any of my cards in order to do damage to the Nemesis units. So it's a really powerful ability. I think if I try this again and build a list that tries to defeat the Nemesis using the combat method instead of the gem method, I mean, the Griffin is just a stupid powerful unit for that, I think. So all right, so the Griffin gets to attack first. That's going to be 7 dice. And let's take a look. He doesn't have anything else that's going to give him any defense against the 7 dice. So he's just defense 6. Griffin's actually probably going to put a hurt on him. So let's do 3, 6, 7 dice. So this is the Griffin's attack on Aegis here. And let's see what we got here. This is a pretty decent roll, actually. So we'll get rid of this. We need 6s. So basically we can do 5, 5. Let's turn this into a 5. So let's do 2 guaranteed hits. So we turn this into a 5. Let's do 2 guaranteed hits with these. And let's see if we can get a 3rd vitality in there. We do. All right, so that's 3 hits. That's quite a lot of damage. So he goes from 6 down to 3. And that affected things, maybe? No, he still gets his full 5 dice. Okay. So now he's going to get his 5 dice against the Griffin, which is defense 7. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when the defense is 7 or above, that means that the Nemesis is going to prioritize the second assault rather than trying to reach 7 in the first assault. So let's see what we get. Not a great roll for the Nemesis. So Nemesis is basically going to make this a 5. We can't get to a 5 with this. So we're just going to have these 3 as +1s. And reroll as long as we don't get a blank. Nope, so that's 1 wound against the Griffin, bringing the Griffin down to 7. All right, so that was basically a waste of the Nemesis's time, in my opinion. So that's the Nemesis turn, so let's go back to us. All right, so let's draw our card here, and we get the Argonauts. So we're going to put them in play, and again, I've got, well, I have 2 Art of War cards right now. I am going to go ahead and spend an Art of War. Going to do another draw to maneuver. So let's do that. 1, 2. Okay, so we got Set Crops and the Spiders. No problem. All right, and now what do we want to do? I don't feel like anybody on the board is really in danger. So I think what I'm going to do is activate the Argonauts and kind of bring them back into this space right here. I could do that with the Argonauts. I could do that with Arachne. I could do it with I don't have a Streno card, I don't think. That's a good question. Have I played out all my Streno activations? I don't think. I think I've only done 2. Let's look at this real quick. I've only done 2, and there's 4, so there should... Okay, I just haven't drawn the other 2 yet. No problem. All right, so yeah, we're just going to activate the Argonauts. They get a total of 3 cards, so this will be great. They have a movement, I think, of just 1. Is that right? Yeah, they only have a movement of 1, but that's fine. They're just going to take a run action. So they're going to run back into here, and then they're just going to drop. They're going to drop this gem right there in the openings. Oh, got a little log jam there. And that's my turn. So that's it. Okay, so we're going to go to the Nemesis turn, and I'm going to try and speed this up a little bit because I think it's starting to kind of come apparent as to how much control I actually have over the Nemesis and how like fairly easy it is for me to manipulate them. So I'm going to start trying to, just for the sake of this, speed up my turns a little bit. So we've got, okay, Toxotai. All right, so they could make ranged attack. No, so that's an obstacle. There's no obstacles. Yeah, they don't ignore obstacles, do they? No. So let me, I'm going to start just evaluating what the Nemesis is going to do kind of off camera, but then still explaining what it does, just so I can speed this up a little bit and the video is not as long. Okay, so I did just realize while evaluating what the Toxotai is going to do that I did make a rules mistake. Basically, I forgot that the Nemesis will always use the leader ability with their divinity at the end of their turn, basically for free. So basically, that means that earlier when Hades would have come into the space, at the end of that activation, he would have recalled these guys into his space up here. So these guys actually would have been starting here. Now, I'm pretty sure that that hasn't really ruined anything. Like nothing else would have changed because this is the first time that the Toxotai has activated since the last time they this is the first time that they've activated. I'm pretty sure. Actually, no. Hold on a second. This Hades has had 2 activations. So and again, he's got leader. Leader is the one that allows you to, I'm pretty sure, allows you to take an activation, friendly troop. Yeah, so they would have gotten, basically they would have gotten 2 activations. Okay, so I did kind of mess something up here. So let's have them take some free attacks. He would not have recalled them. Instead, they would have been up here, I think. It's not that they recall after every round, right? They only do a recall when the troop is like diminished, right? Like it's actually taken some wounds, and they haven't yet. So we'll say on the first time Hades would have activated, we're gonna say the Toxotai would have been able to come up here and make an attack. And between the two, the Griffin is the only one that is holding a gem, so he would have been the target. So the Toxotai attack is going to be 4 dice, and this is an area attack, but that doesn't really matter. So this is 4 total attack dice against the Griffin, who is at 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do this. We're just going to make up for this. All right, so that's a hit and a hit, and then we'll change this into a 5. So they're going to try and get 7s. That was an excellent roll by them, by the way. So they made up for their bad luck, and that's going to be 2 wounds. All right, so that's to the Griffins. So we'll move the wounds 1, 2 down here. All right, and now we'll say that they were able to do it. The first activation, the Griffin wasn't out there, so now this is their current activation, which I just drawn. So let's allow them to do this again. So it's going to be another 4 dice attack against the Griffin. This time it's only defense. Oh, actually, I moved the wrong one. No, I didn't. It's still the Griffin's at 7. So they're still looking for 7s. So there's a blank, and so they can turn that 3 into a 5, and they do get another hit. So now the Griffin is down at 6. All right, so we gave the Toxotai an extra attack to make up for that, and hopefully that erases it. Yeah, sorry about the rules mistake. I promise you it would not have affected my ability to win this game once this is over, but hopefully that should make up for it. Okay, so it's back to us. Let's draw our card, and we've got the Centaurs. Okay. All right, I kind of wanted a Griffin card more than anything else. I've only got 1 Art of War card left right now. We're running low on that. So I think what I'm going to do is, let's see, we've got, let's see, I really wanted either a Griffin or one of those Streno cards. Okay, I think we're going to do this. Let's do it this way. We're going to go with Arachne. And so she's going to activate. She's going to take her free action just to drop this gem where she is. So it's sitting here in the forest. Then she's going to take a claim action, and she has Gem Collector, so she's going to claim this one. And then she's just going to move over into this spot with these guys and then drop this Amphalos over there. So that's her activation, and that's all I'm doing. All right, so let's go back to the Nemesis here. Man, Infernal Hounds. We still have not drawn an Art of War card. It's crazy. All right, so let me evaluate off camera what they're going to do. Okay, so the Hounds are melee, and they don't actually have enough movement range to get to any units within 2 in order to attack them. So they're just going to go after a gem. So that means that they're going to move 1, 2 into this ruins area where there's a gem. So they're just going to relocate over here and probably destroy that gem on their turn. Okay. And that's it. So let's go back to us. Let's see what we get here. We get another Medea card. And you know what? I think at this point, I might... I mean, I could go swipe that gem maybe with Arachne if I wanted to. I don't know how much I care about that. Do I even have Arachne cards? I do have one left for her. I might not even bother though. But she's got a movement of... wow, she's got a movement of 3. So she could even go swipe that gem with Gem Collector easily. Do I want to do that? Yeah, I mean, we could do that. It doesn't... I don't feel like it matters all that much. But yeah, I mean, let's just use like somewhat optimal play, right? Let me double check the rules. It's been a while. Let me make sure there's no technicality that you can't take a claim action before a walk action, because I know that you can't attack then move, but let me make sure that that does not apply to claims. And no, there's no restriction to you're allowed to claim and walk in either order that you want. So so Arachne's currently in this space right here. Here she is with these 2 gems. So she's gonna do a couple things. She's gonna take her first action to claim this one with her gem collector. She's gonna take a free action to drop that. You can drop them at any time, and then she is going to walk. She has a walk movement of 3, so she's just gonna move 1 and then 2 into these ruins, just so that if they don't destroy that on a future turn, she's got 1 more activation card in the deck. She can swipe that away from them, and she's also sitting in the ruins where she's got a little bit of protection, so that'll be fine. And that's it. That's all we're going to do. All right, let's see what the Nemesis has on offer. I really think it's time to draw an Art of War card. No. Okay, so we do get the Infernal Hounds. All right, so here's something that's interesting. So, I mean, it really would be kind of in the AI's best interest maybe to just like destroy that. But I don't think that's what they're going to do, because they do have a unit with a gem in range, and that's the Griffin. So that's another reason why I wasn't too worried about grabbing that gem early. So basically what the Infernal Hounds are going to do is they're going to go after and fight the Griffin, which is a really, really bad idea, but it was a pretty simple situation to engineer. So they're gonna move in here and do this, and this is probably not going to go well for them. They're going to accomplish very little, I think. But here we go. Let's so they're going to try to attack the Griffin, and of course the Griffin still, even though the Griffin is just down to 4 vitality, it does still have its special abilities. It does still have Swift Talon right here, so he still gets to make a 6 dice attack against the Infernal Hounds, which only have a defense of 4. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we just need 4s to take out the Infernal Hounds. Let's see what we get. All right, so that's going to be 1 elimination, another elimination. We'll make that 3 of 4, and then so that'll be 3. So that's 3 wounds to the Hounds, and before they are able to accomplish anything, we'll put that off board. And they've got 3 Hounds left. So that means that they get +1 die for each pair. They only have 1 pair, so they just get 3 dice and Torment. So they're going to be rolling 3 dice against the Griffin here. I did double check and verify that just this doesn't add any kind of buffs to this attack or anything like that. So the Griffin right now, whoops, I'm still getting used to these camera controls. The Griffin right now has a defense of 6, which is being lowered to a 5 because of Torment on the Hounds. So they're looking for 5s. Let's see what we got. All right, so they're just gonna make a 5, and that's just gonna be 1 wound. And now the Griffin no longer has its retaliate ability. Okay, so that was the Infernal Hound's activation. Back to us. All right, let's draw our card. And we get Medea. Okay. All right, so here's the situation. I've got 3 of the 4 gems we need just sitting here ready for Athena to come on the board and start taking our activations. The Griffin's getting pretty low on health. I think maybe within the next activation or 2, they'll probably take the Griffin out. But honestly, I don't really care because, again, like I said, it's more than anything, it's the fact that, you know, they're gonna get 1 gem anyway. But one thing that I could do, honestly, is I could move the Argonauts up. Actually, they don't have enough range to move 2 and then claim. I could move one of these units over and then claim, couldn't I? I could do that with Arachne. And then I could have her claim. Yeah, maybe let's do that. Let's, I don't have an Arachne. I do. I have 1 more Arachne card over here. But you know what? Yeah. Okay. So it's really simple. This is I'm being dumb. Here's what I do. So Arachne, she's gonna activate. This is her last activation. She's gonna take a claim action and get this gem over here. Then she's gonna take a move action and she's gonna move 1, 2 over here. And then she's simply gonna drop this gem. Okay, so we have all the 4 gems that we need now in this one spot for Athena. We're totally cool just letting the Griffin die because the AI is just now going to waste its time just fighting the Griffin since the Griffin is the only one holding a gem. So let's just see how that plays out. That's all I'm going to do for my turn. I could draw more cards with my Art of War. In fact, I'm going to do that. We're pretty much in the end game now, and now I'm at the point where I just need to go through 5 Athena activations as fast as possible. I don't care about actually having Art of War cards to activate abilities or anything else at this point. It's purely about just cycling our deck now. So let's just take a maneuver, play this last Art of War card, and draw 2. So there's a Steno, and here is a Griffin. Okay, and now it's over to the Nemesis. So let's see what we got here. We've got finally our first Art of War card of 7. I have a feeling we're about to go through a whole chunk of Art of War cards here. All right, so the first activation is going to be actually Aegisthus. Okay. All right, so let's see what Aegisthus wants to do. It's pretty obvious. There's only 1 unit from my side that's holding a gem. Aegisthus is going to attack that unit, which is the Griffin. So he gets to roll 5 dice. Sneak attack is going to apply, but Poison Dagger is not because, of course, the Griffin is not a hero. So Aegisthus is going to get 6 dice against the Griffin, who is at defense 6. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice, and he's looking for 6s. So he didn't roll super well. It's 1. So he's going to make a 6 out of that. 4, 5, 6. So that's just 2 wounds. And the Griffin is just barely alive with 1 vitality left. All right, so we get 1 more activation from the Nemesis. And okay, finally it's Echidna. So let's see what Echidna wants to do. She's all the way over here. Let's see. She has no ranged attacks. So she has to get within melee. Could she get within melee over here? She has a movement of 2, so she could go 1. No, she could go over here. So the best thing that she could do is target Steno, the Gorgon, over here. But Steno's not holding a gem. So let's look at the targeting and see if she'd rather attack somebody that doesn't have a gem. Yeah, she'd rather attack somebody that's not even carrying a gem than go after the other Divine Stone. So that's what she's going to do. Cool. So that means she's going to move 1, 2. She does have 2 movements, so she's hanging out in here with Hades. She's going to attack Steno. She has block and torment. Let's look at her poison. She has the poison ability. Let's make sure we're applying the Nemesis's poison really quick. That is Echidna. So it says no change. Okay, so let me reread it. I've never played with Echidna. So when Echidna is recruited, take 4 poison tokens. They're already sitting there. If they inflict at least 1 wound, target. Okay, so all right, so we're just going to gain those poison tokens. Got it. All right, so this is a 7 dice attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Versus Steno has currently 6 defense, nothing to buff. Steno does have initiative. I'm not going to bother with that. I don't really care. And Petrify. Yeah. So she is a 6 defense, but that's going to be lowered to a 5 because of Torment. So looking for 5s. All right, so there's a 5. There's a 5. This 2 can be changed into a 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be 3 wounds, bringing her down to 2. And then she's also going to gain a poison token over here. So the next time she activates, she's going to take damage. All right, so that was 2 activations for Team Nemesis. All right, so let's draw our card for the turn. We've got some Centaur action over here. Let's put that in play. And I don't have any Art of War cards left to draw anything. I'm kind of actually at a point where I'm kind of hoping that one of my units dies over here, like Steno maybe, so that I can get more Art of War cards. But it's time to start bringing Athena on and getting her into play. So let's get Athena on the board. She's, of course, going to come over here where she's going to benefit from like guard, from all that kind of stuff. And she's sitting in the place that she's just going to sit there and win the game. That's my entire turn. So we can go back to the Nemesis and maybe start playing a little bit faster here. We've got Infernal Hounds. All right, man, still haven't run into that patch of Art of War cards here. Where are the Hounds? All right, it's pretty obvious what they're going to do because they have their target already, the only target that's carrying a gem. So they're going to get 3 dice plus Torment. They only need to do 1 wound to kill the Griffin. The Griffin has defense of 5, so they're looking for 5s on this 3 dice. Come on, Griffin. Hold out 1 more turn. You can do it. And no, they do not. That was an exceptionally good roll by the Infernal Hound. So nice work there. All right, so the Griffin dies, and the gem stays where it is. Boom. Okay. And of course, Hades would heal, but Hades is already at max health. We're not bothering with that. So that's pretty much it for their turn. So we can go back to our turn. Let's draw our activation card here. We get another Athena, which we're just might as well play now. And now the real money comes in because Athena is just going to take a complex action and score our first victory point. And in so doing, we're going to be awarded an Unfollows card. And look at that, we now have another Art of War card in our hand, which guess what? We're going to use immediately in order to take a maneuver and draw 2 cards. There's another nice Art of War card, and another Steno the Gorgon card, which we don't really care about. That's going to be the end of our turn. The game is almost over. So let's see what we got for the Nemesis. We've got the Toxotai. Okay. They do have unit and range. Let me evaluate them, because they could just attack the most obvious one here, but could they get down into here? Let me take a look real quick. Okay, so they actually have a different option. So they can move 1 and still attack, and they will prefer to target the divinity Athena if they can. And it turns out that if they move into this space first, I use my little laser line here, and I think they just barely clear this rock obstacle if I draw that line from where they are. So this is not going to block their line of sight. So that means the Toxotai will first move into this area, and then they're going to attack Athena. Now, Athena has 2 different units with guard that can just block this, but the Toxotai's attack is really not that... actually, you know what? I think it's just going to be an area attack anyway. Area attack, if this... Yeah, they're still at full strength, so it's going to be an area attack, so everybody's going to get hit by this. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. All right, so this looks like it's going to be a 4 dice area attack against everything that's there. So let me try to do this quickly. Let's do Athena first. Athena has a defense of 8. And that was horrible. They're definitely not going to do anything. Let's do next we have the Centaurs. They have a defense of 6. And I think they're bolstered, yes. So they actually have a defense of 7 because Athena is bolstering them. So that is nothing here. So they're going to go 3, 4, 5. So they can try a second assault. And no, that's a 6. So no damage to them. Now they're going to go after the Argonauts, who are also bolstered. So they are actually a 7 defense. Here's a 5. And 3, 4, 5. So they're going to try and get double hits. And they get 1. So that's 1 Argonaut takes a wound. And then lastly, we have Arachne is in there. She is just a straight up 7. So here we go. And we get 2 5s. We can't make a third one, so these are just going to be +1s. This is probably going to be 2 wounds. Nope, 1 wound. So that fails. 1 wound gets done to Arachne over here, who still has a lot of health. She's just done a 6 vitality. All right, so that was their area attack. That's it. So let's go back over to us. We're going to draw our card. Cecrops, who's not even going to be coming onto the board. Neither is Medea. So, of course, we're going to play I think this is our last Athena card that I have. Yeah, so this is our last Athena card I have in hand. She's going to absorb yet another... Man, I've got this kind of like camera holder thing with like a mechanical rotation thing, and I've got a gimbal basically for my phone, and I'm still learning how to use it. All right, but anyway, there's a complex action for that. That, of course, is going to get her one of these, which she, of course, is immediately going to spend as a maneuver in order to draw 2 cards. And we're getting very close to cycling our deck. There's our next Athena card. And look at that, another Griffin card. So we have yet another Art of War card in hand for when we need it. I'm at a point now where I could even take a second activation if I really wanted to, but it's not really going to matter. Let's just close out the game. And all right, so Echidna is going to activate. Let me evaluate her off camera real quick. Okay, so Echidna, she can't reach Athena down here in order to attack her in melee. So her target does end up being the Gorgon over here. She has Torment, so she's going to take her 7 melee dice, and she's going to roll that against a 4 defense over here. So the Gorgon's probably going down. So that's 3, 6, 7, looking for 4s. And all she needs is 2 wounds. This is almost guaranteed. Yeah, that's already 2 wounds that are on there. So the Gorgon has been eliminated. And again, Hades would heal, but he's max health. So that's their activation, no problem. So it's back to us. We're going to draw our very last card, the Centaur. And now we're going to do our last Athena activation, this deck cycle. Rinse and repeat. Let's consume the last candy, and let's get another Omphalos card. And we're going to end our turn. We'll go back to the Nemesis. And it's Echidna again. So now, since Echidna actually can't reach anybody to attack, they're more than 1 space away. She doesn't have the range. That means that she's going to destroy this gem. So they managed to destroy 1 gem on me. All right. That awards them an Omphalos card, and that goes on the top of the AI's deck. But it's not going to matter because, as we see, now it goes back to me. And basically, I would now, since I need to draw a card, shuffle up my deck and draw a card. It doesn't really matter because I would shuffle up my deck. I don't need to draw an Athena card since I can just play this as a maneuver to then go get the Athena card out of my deck and play it the last time in order to absorb the very last gem and win the game against the, I guess, high difficulty Nemesis AI. So yeah, that turned out even like easier than I thought it was going to be, actually. In my previous games, they ended up managing to destroy like 2 gems before I won. I think that was mostly because I got some extra luck that the Art of War cards didn't come out. Like, they were like really clumped. Yeah, you can see how clumped they got. Well, actually, they weren't clumped as bad as I thought. So anyway, that's that. I want to do a quick summary on kind of my thoughts on this, but I'm going to just pause right here and gather my thoughts really quick. All right, well, hopefully that was a fair demonstration of the system. There's a part of me, honestly, that, like, after playing through this, that wonders whether or not there's some kind of like core rule that I'm getting wrong or something that I'm missing that would render all of this kind of stuff completely invalid. Maybe that's the case. I hope so. I'm not, I can't say like I'm the world's best Mythic Battles player or anything like that, or that like I know every rule inside and out of the game. So maybe there's just something that I'm overlooking or that I missed or I forgot to apply or something. I don't think there's any restrictions as far as like how many of the gems can be in one space. Like, that was one thing I was thinking, like, oh, maybe I missed a rule, right? Where you're not allowed to like just, dump all of your gems into one space and leave your divinity off the board and then just kind of come in. I'm not really sure. So, yeah, hopefully I didn't miss anything, but please let me know if I did, and maybe there's something completely invalid about all of this. But anyway, I kind of wanted to share some thoughts on the system and at solo systems like this in general. because obviously a lot of work is being put into this. When you look at what's been developed so far with a PDF, you can see a huge, like all these different armies that you can play against. Um, I'm pretty confident that I could probably like manipulate the AI enough to beat it every time against if I were going for a combat victory as well. Again, the list that I used in this was really unoptimized. I mean, you can just imagine with somebody like Dionysus, uh, like how much damage could be done against the AI as far as manipulating them. If you're not familiar, Dionysus comes with the satyr uh, troops that can basically force the enemy AI to go towards the satyrs instead. And the satyrs are just really cheap troops that have a stupid high defense of 9. Dionysus himself is pretty hard to kill. He's got a lot of defense and a lot of vitality. So again, if the Dionysus is like probably my would be my best pick for this kind of strategy, because like Athena, he adds 3 Art of War cards to your deck, which is obviously another power. With this kind of a build, you want a bunch of Art of War cards because you want to keep drawing those cards. But again, I don't think that I wouldn't be able to easily build another list that just goes for a combat victory. Maybe I'll do that on camera if it's necessary. Um, but assuming that I'm playing everything correctly and not missing some major thing, I'm pretty confident that like no matter the difficulty or whatever army that we have, the AI is easy enough to beat. That's okay. This AI is still in development. You know, this is still early. This is version 3 of a rule set that's ongoing. Um, but really, I think the underlying problem is more that the this approach to AIs is, in my opinion, the like really the problem, because no matter what, the AI is going to be subject to manipulation, right? It doesn't matter that the activation cards, like I said earlier, are random. If the player can predict exactly what the AI is going to do, uh, no matter which one activates, then it's easily subject to manipulation no matter what. Uh, so even if the system were to go back and like maybe have random behaviors for the AI, to where if you weren't like going down a procedural list where it's going to do this and then it's going to do this and then it's going to do this like it is now, and you kind of like rolled a die or something like that and mixed it up to where the player can't predict what they're going to do, like in this for this system as it exists right now, you can just basically use the gems as a hot potato. So if I were going to play against the Nemesis and go for a combat victory, I would go have some tough unit go up and pick a gem just so that it becomes the magnet for the Nemesis to walk into and hit. And then maybe even like I would put like put something like the Hydra, have the Hydra go pick up a gem, and then get all the while it heals, and then get the Nemesis to bring all their units in there, and then just start bombarding that area with area attacks. Really powerful area attacks from divinities that have them and stuff like that. And you're probably just gonna like lay waste to the AI. Um, so, yeah, I think when you look at solo systems in a lot of other games that tend to be lauded for like having really good solo play, I've been thinking about this a lot because I've been trying to develop a solo AI for Batman Gotham City Chronicles, and that one, I've been trying to make my own solo system because I see the same problems with the solo systems that have been created for Batman as well. And in my mind, I think really what it comes down to is that whenever you try to create an AI that is playing the same game as the player, it's trying to beat the player at the player's own game, you're just in for a world of hurt. That's just something that a tabletop AI is just not going to really be able to do. And when I start to think about the best, the games that tend to be most recognized as being just great solo games, they're games that generally don't have an AI, in the sense that there's no AI that has an objective that it's trying to achieve in order to defeat the player. I think the best systems are ones where you don't have an AI. You don't have an AI with its own objectives that it's trying to like play by. Instead, you give the player an objective, and you give the player a time limit. And instead of having an AI opponent, you just have a system that generates random and unpredictable obstacles and problems for the player to solve in order to achieve the player's objective within a time limit, right? When you start thinking of it that way, your AI doesn't need to be smart, right? It doesn't need to like take game context into account, because that's part of what the problem is here, right? Like, obviously, like you saw, the Nemesis was going after the Griffin when that was really a bad idea because the Griffin has that initiative attack. Uh, the it would have been obvious to any human player that my strategy is just to sit here and let Athena come on the board and then gobble up all the gems, but it wasn't obvious to the Nemesis, so they were wasting their time going after the Griffin. In order to try to develop an AI that takes all this complicated game context into account in order to make better decisions, you end up with these really stupid, complicated AI flowchart bots. That's where you get into games like a lot of war games, so some of these like GMT games like Empire of the Sun, where you get these really long, complicated flowcharts that you have to like go through and evaluate. And because the AI is trying to smartly take all this game context into account. So you have all these if then else conditional statements. And that becomes unfun. You end up playing, you end up spending more time evaluating what the AI is going to do rather than playing the game yourself. This system doesn't try to do that. It doesn't try to be overcomplicated, and that's one thing I really like about it. That's one thing this system does right. I think potentially what the system does wrong is that it's trying to simulate a player. It's trying to be an AI opponent. Whereas if you look at a game like, take ultra popular co-op games like Pandemic, right? Pandemic, there's no real AI in the game. It's not, the game itself doesn't have an objective. It just says, all right, here's a victory condition, and here's a time limit. You have all these different timers that are ticking down for the player. Go completely your objective, while this deck continuously spews out just random problems that the players have to deal with along the way. So that threat management style of game system works really, really well for solo games. You think of games like, I'm trying to remember Mage Knight, great one. Robinson Crusoe, the Arkham Horror LCG, the Lord of the Rings LCG, all these games that have these like solo play experiences that are generally thought of as really, really great. I think the secret to them is that you're not really playing against an AI. You are tasked with completing an objective as the player, while the game doesn't have to be smart in order to provide you a challenge. It can just randomly spew out, problems and obstacles on the board, and that's just going to make things more difficult for you, that you're going to have to problem solve and plan in order to beat. In the context of a tactical skirmish game, I think that's the interesting question: is how could we like make an AI system that isn't an AI, that basically just tasks the player with completing an objective? And I think that's an approach that might actually be more effective and be less prone to being able to just cheese the AI and just playing around it. So my idea for a solo system that I'm still playing around with, maybe I'll do that on camera soon, is for Batman, just turns it into a system where the player's playing a mission, and they have an objective, and there's just a deck of cards that basically randomly activates the AI to move around and attack and do stuff and kind of get in the hero's way. But it doesn't need to take any game context into account because it's not trying to accomplish something. Um, so maybe that's a good place to start. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. That's just the way I've been thinking about it, like the last couple of weeks. So all in all, though, if you've actually watched this far, sorry and thanks. So hopefully the system does well. Hopefully this has been of some help, and if there's any other kind of play testing feedback, I'm happy to provide it and hear from it. So thanks.